Hey everyone, welcome to the Realty Atlas Podcast. So I was asked by our marketing department that it is time for me to share my experiences within the real estate industry over the last, I don't want to give my age away now, but over the last more than 20 years in the real estate industry. So we're going to be exploring my real estate journey today, but during this podcast, we will also be exploring investment, property investment, sales, buying. We're going to get industry leaders in here like attorneys, bond originators, investors, and we're going to see what it's like to travel and experience the real estate in South Africa. So today, I was asked to introduce myself so that you know who the future host of the podcast is. So the tables are going to be flipped a little bit, and I'm going to be the one interviewed by my team leader in the company and my right hand, Manuel Lopez, who's going to have an opportunity to dissect me and ask me some questions. And hopefully that will give you insight as to my knowledge, what I've experienced, and who I am.
So, Foti, tell us how Portuguese people are better than Greeks. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Right, so I started in real estate in, I think it was 2001, 2002. I'd been, what a lot of people don't know about me was I started off as a motor mechanic, working for Prestige and Performance in Cape Town. We used to do Jaguars, Porsches, and Rolls Royces. So as an 18-year-old, I used to drive. I thought I wanted to be a mechanic because I loved the cars. And I thought, let me become a mechanic. And then I got the opportunity at Jaguar. And I realized that I love driving them rather than working on them. And then after that, I took a sabbatical to Greece for 3 months, got back. And I went into I'm going to take a dig at you now, into the Portuguese field of fish and chips, which I conquered very well. And after that, I decided I got bored. And I needed something that was challenging and something that could create wealth and something that had abundance. And I decided to go into real estate. I did consider selling cars, but I wanted something that had gravitas. So I started off at a small little real estate agency in Brackenfell. My principal was an older lady named Estelle. She taught me a lot. And about a year later, I got recruited to join Pam Golding. And what a lesson. Hey? I was there for 9 years and 11 months. And I then decided it's time to go on my own. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. The nice thing about real estate is it does offer you that nice balance between being an entrepreneur and having a job. And after that, in 2011, I started Realty Atlas. And it's been an interesting journey. I think what started off as an undercurrent of property management, where I did 2 deals that paid me maybe I think at the time was 4,000 Rand, and I was like really excited. That was my first procurement. That was my first procurement rental. And then I started building it, and people started learning that I was managing properties, and it started growing. And I always continued the selling. That's really my true passion. I think that is, don't worry, Foti, we've got this. We'll do the viewings, and the next moment, where have you been? No, I'm out with a buyer, and I enjoy sitting with sellers. I enjoy. It's a very interesting industry because you're at people's. You're there for their best times. You're there for their worst times, and it's really. You create wealth. You help people out of financial difficulty, and you see them come back. One of the things I've realized though is like with a name like Foti, if it was Jan or Pitt or Frikkie, there'd be a lot of them, but Foti is one. So if I mess up, everybody knows. So I got to behave myself. So that's me in a nutshell. Hey, ex-mechanic, ex-fish and chips, right in the real estate. 14 years later, 2014 this year. Hey, can't believe it. And it's grown. It's nice. It's been a very, very awesome experience. It's you're learning every day. I think that's the thing, and no day is the same. And you'll attest that this month has been interesting. Last year was interesting, and this year is going to be interesting. So it'll keep us on our feet, eh?
Yeah. So I know when I entered the industry that real estate agents love to talk, and that proves it today. So you've basically given a whole summary of your journey, but through your journey, starting in Brackenfell and working towards Pam Golding, normally there are people that we see as mentors, people that will shape us either to grow further into the industry or to push us, to teach us. In your personal experience being in real estate, who would you say was a mentor that you literally looked up to and wanted to learn so much and absorb as much information and knowledge about them?
Wow, that's an interesting question. I don't think it's really about one mentor. I think it's about different people at different times. So, one of the things that it's. I think we had this discussion in a meeting the other day where I said, like you speak to the millionaire estate agents, and they're so charismatic. They're not up here. They here, and they connect with you. And I think so. I've had a couple of mentors. So my thing about not retiring. So I think one of my mentors, there was a guy named Piet van Niekerk, and he was at work every single day, hey, in his white shirt, his tie, his black pants, and he was also a petrol head like me, loved cars, but he was in his 70s, and man, he was still selling properties, doing his thing. I think he sort of just gave me that thing that, you can do this as long as you want, and it's going to be fun. I think then there's people in you won't know her. There was a lady named Paul Sparks. She was in Rondebosch. And I think she retired at like, I don't want to lie, but like 87. So I'm still a young one in this industry. And I think for me, possibly if we look at it, who would I mentor? I'm a huge fan of following people like Ryan Serhant. I think what he's managed to achieve in terms of marketing and just extracting the marketing in property, who you need to be, growing that selling. I think for him, I'm a huge fan of that. And then there's been investors along the way that have inspired me to invest and buy. I've seen this industry turn people's lives around. I think that for me is one of the things that, it's hard work. Like, when you're sitting at work on a Sunday afternoon or a Sunday evening, and that your kids are at home and you're missing them, but you need to get that deal through. You need to push it through. That Sunday morning call when there's a landlord that's house hasn't been rented, and you get an inquiry, and you're like, I need to get this guy in immediately because we need to fill it up. We can't have the landlord sitting without the rent for the month. So it's a brilliant industry, but a couple of mentors along the way. But I think
That's awesome. So the most interesting part is your transitioning from getting your hands dirty, oily, and being a mechanic to all of a sudden dressing up as you do, meeting with high-profile clients and trying to either sell the investment to the next one. What was your initial expectations versus now being in it for quite some time?
Wow, that's an interesting question. I think the industry's changed a lot. So I think training, for one, I think that's very important. And you and I have discussed the where we're going in terms of the training within the company, and as we grow, what I believe need to be the pillars of a business. So training is definitely one of them. I think whoever you are in whatever industry, but especially in this, the training is super important, and that's the one thing. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, whatever level you're playing at, like if you're playing at a $1.05 million, a million rand property, or you playing at a 30 million rand property, I think the stakes for the seller are the same. So I think whether you're working on that, you need to give 150% to both of them. Obviously, the payback on the more expensive property is there. It will allow me to buy my big black Porsche, not a little black, the 911 Porsche. But I think from that point of view is that you need to give 100% on that. So you need to connect with the seller. You need to be honest with them. You need to push up the marketing. I think that's very important, especially today. I think the market's changed considerably. So, when I started, the comparative market analysis was a file in the middle of the office that everybody would go and make a photocopy. And I was one of the first agents to have a laptop, okay? And I would then put it into Excel, and then I would print it out, and that's how I would take it to clients. Whereas now we've got a variety of programs that we can use: Lightstone, CMA, Virtual Agent. We've got, Property 24 wasn't around then, and photos. I can tell you a story. I took a house. There was a house that was it was a Cape Dutch house, so it had a straight roof, and I took the Mick and Dirk camera, the one that used to shoot out in the front, the zoom out. And I took it, and I took a photo, and we had to get it into the burger for the weekend. And I got back, and my principal said, the house is skew. You got to go back and take the photo again. Nowadays we just straighten it. We adjust the lighting. We take the number off. We change the color of the walls. No, we don't do that. No, we don't. We don't do that. No. But technology's moved. I think we're moving a lot faster. I think inquiries back then was they would come through, and then they would be put in your pigeonhole, and you'd have like 10 inquiries on a piece of paper, and you'd go and you'd phone them. I think that's the part that I liked. It wasn't a WhatsApp. It was like literally a phone call. You could have a phone call with a potential buyer. You could pre-qualify them. What are you looking for? Where are you going? What's the reason for buying? Are you looking to sell? All of that stuff. Whereas now it's WhatsApp, so it's like very, very cold. And then you try and phone them, and then they don't answer, but you send them a WhatsApp and they respond, which is quite weird, But yeah, so it's moved a lot faster. I think a successful agent back then could have made, and you've heard me say this, is where a successful agent back then was maybe making 3 or 4 sales a month. That same agent today needs to double that up because of the speed that you're working and the technology that you have. But that said, you also know that Cape Town is full of agents. I went for dinner the other night, and there was one at the table, one next to me signing a deal, one at the other table, and I thought, yeah, did they all come out for dinner tonight? It's one of those things. Everybody's in real estate in Cape Town. It's a very rewarding place to be. But yeah, it's interesting. I think, yeah.
That's awesome. So, a lot of people have this perception that when you're in real estate, all you do is show up and people throw money at you, and that's it. That's basically your day, right? And a lot of people always want to talk about successful stories, which is great, but you don't necessarily learn from the successful stories. So I remember you were telling me a story of a so-called successful story where you had a golf car. I believe they were very good with the windows at the back. Do you want to dig down and just explain that story a bit more?
Yeah, so real estate is about experience, isn't it? You've got to be perceived to be successful for people to trust you with their house,
Yeah.
So, and when I started out, I had this. I was a massive golf fan, and I had a Golf 2 with the aluminium golf ball gear lever. It was brilliant, but fish and chips hadn't been so great to me, so I hadn't been able to service the car as regularly as I wanted to. And then I went into real estate, and I had the fish and chip shop on the market. But I went away for the weekend with some friends, and we were coming over the pass, the Huguenot Tunnel pass, and I dropped something through the gearbox, and I had to have it replaced. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't taking gears as much. And I must say that I then listed a property back at the time. It was worth about 750,000 back then, but it was probably worth in the region of about a 4 or 5 million rand property today. And it was the most expensive property in the area, so I really, really wanted to sell it. And I remember that this couple phoned me. I think they were from out of town somewhere, a farm or something, but lovely couple. But what had happened was that the back window had jammed, so the back window wasn't opening. So I took the door panel off and I jammed a broomstick up there to keep the window open. The gear stick wasn't working and there was no aircon in the car. And it was a summer afternoon at 30 degrees Celsius. And I had to pick them up. And we were at the robot and I couldn't engage first gear. I looked in the mirror and the woman in the back was dripping sweat. The auntie in the front was dripping sweat. And I thought, yeah, I'm taking them to this house, but when they walk in, they're sweating and it's uncomfortable. And I think that was one of the reasons that, it's about the experience. For me, and I think the focus for this year, I think, is going to be on creating experiences for people that are special. I don't think, I've never been one to judge people on the car that they drive, but I think what's important in this industry is that people need to. Perception is huge. Perception is huge, and to that, I mean, I think for the first 7 years of my real estate career, I went to work every day in tie, in a shirt. I was dressed to the nines, and it was purely because I started at 27. So for me, like today, I'm a little bit older, so I have a little bit of like where people can, because of my experience and the white hair helps. But back then I didn't. So I knew everything about, I used to study those houses and I could tell you the rates to the cent, the size of the house, everything like that. I used to learn that. I used to know that knowledge was the one thing that I did. And then obviously, you have to take the lessons. And unfortunately, the school fees in this business are expensive. They're not the ones that's gonna cost you 10 or 15 rand. You lose a commission check, it can be anything from 50 to 150 to 200,000 rand, which it could cost you if you make a mistake. And the school fees are expensive, but you have to take them. You have to learn. You have to be resilient to get up. The rejection is huge. When people don't want to work with you and they choose somebody else, you got to go back and learn. You got to have your listing presentation on point. So those are the lessons that I've learned and I've tried to hone and teach all of you guys.
No, 100%. It's again the lessons of life and experiences. You start learning a bit about what your capabilities are as an agent, and you've got over 20 years of experience.
I keep reminding people.
Which is a good thing because you should take pride in the amount of years and work that you put in. And you've now going from working for someone, with someone, to now running your own business, and the fact that you've launched a podcast, which is quite an interesting scope. It's out of comfort zone, I can only assume. But what's next? What is your goals, your expectations for this company?
That's an interesting question, isn't it? The podcasts are a bit uncomfortable. I think just the social media where we've taken it has been interesting. I think people perceptively, you need to be perceived successful. So, it was like, I think last year we had a good year. We saw that a development, and I think we were doing like quite well, and we posted nothing of that success. Like nobody knows except the people that bought through us, and I've realized that people out there, we're doing better than some people, but we're not bragging about it. We're not talking about it, and now all of a sudden you've got to be telling people what you're doing, so that you remain top of mind. So, and that has definitely put me has put me out of my comfort zone in terms of the photos and the stuff like that, And having been in the industry for 20 years, my hair's not as dark as it used to be. Most of it is not where it used to be, but we'll just leave that for another day. Thankfully, there's gyms, so we can cut down in areas where we don't want to be excessive. But where's the company going? I think for me, I needed a break from agents for a while. I think it was important for me to just find my, after COVID and, restructuring, I think it was important that I find my place again and find out what I enjoy, which is selling real estate. But I think a passion of mine is empowering people, getting people who are to do real estate. I think the right people. So I think growth is going to be important. I think marketing. I think taking people's assets. Once again, whether it's a 30 million rand property or whether it's a 1 million rand property, the marketing needs to be on par. And then I think slowly grow. Where yet that is still being that's still being cut out. I'm still busy deciding, but I think I'm getting a sense it will be like your coaches will say, you need to have a concrete vision, and I'm busy cementing it at the moment to see where it's going to go and what it's going to do, and then I want to grow. I want to push it. I think for my staff, somebody said to me, or what I've realized is, you want your kids to have a legacy.
Ending off your first episode of many more to come, I must say you're doing very well considering you're out of your comfort zone.
Thank you so much.
Just perhaps some closing thoughts for anyone that's listening out there and potentially watching this or following you on Instagram or Facebook. What would be your message for the people out there?
So it depends who I'm talking to, but if you are thinking of buying, if you're still renting, or if you potentially living at home, I would suggest that you look to buy. There's no such time as right now to buy. I think the market is going to take off as soon as the interest rates start cutting. So I think investment in property is key. If you've got a property that you need to rent out, make sure that you've got good tenants that can afford it. The affordability is there. That you're maintaining it, that you're looking after it, so that there's no arguments. If you're looking to scale down, get proper valuations, look at it so that you can maximize your return. Marketing, I would say probably make sure that the agents are not just coming in with a cell phone camera and taking photos. I think you need to realize that if a house is on the market at 1.5, the marketing needs to make it look like it's a 2 million rand property. I think that's important. So I think marketing is really going to elevate your property above the rest in the area so that you can compete. But and if you're looking to become a real estate agent, reach out to me. I don't mind having a cup of coffee. You asked me who my mentors are. The guy who created coffee, I think is probably right up there. But I do believe that I should give me a shot and let's have a chat.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, and look forward to part 2.
Thank you, Manuel. Hey, everybody. Thank you for watching the first podcast. And I hope you learned a thing or two about me. And look forward to the next one. Let's see where this journey takes us. See you soon.